Hey there, it's Angela, and I'm so glad you found your way here to architecting. Creative careers can be stressful, and it's hard to be vulnerable, but this is your landing pad for raw honesty. I'll help you get clarity, reconnect with your passion, and have the career of your dreams. If you're ready to make a difference, have an impact, and say bye-bye to burnout, stick with me, and let's get architecting. Bright lights, it's Angela. Welcome back to Architecting. I'm so glad you're here. This is an episode I know a lot of people have been waiting to hear an Ask Me Anything episode where I am taking questions from those of you in the audience and answering them on the air. And the question that we're going to talk about today came in from Jessie. Jessie says, "It's been a long, hot summer. I'm feeling exhausted and just completely unmotivated. How do I restart my creative flow?" I love this question. This is such a good one because a lot of us buy into the myth that we should be able to be creative all the time, that it's sort of this steady state. The truth is, creativity is a flow state, and there are going to be times when you're at maximum creativity, times when you are not. So let's talk about what can happen to get you out of the creative state. And then I'm going to share some pro tips to really help you get back into that creativity state a little bit more easily. Number one, are you being depleted? When we do not have all of our physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional resources charged up, we just don't have the energy for creativity. So, Jessie, first of all, take a look at what's going on in your life. Are you doing a lot of summer activities? Having to, take kids to camps or plan vacations or go to parties or doing yard work, right? There's all kinds of stuff that we can be doing that makes us physically tired. Are you in a bit of a rut where you're not very spiritually motivated because every day feels like the last and you need to change things up? Are you in a situation that's emotionally toxic with a lot of people that are difficult to deal with, whether it's office politics, a toxic coworker, maybe a bad personal relationship? Those kind of things can also just throw your creativity completely out of whack because it is exhausting to have to be hyper vigilant to deal with toxic people and toxic situations. And finally, are you mentally exhausted? If you've been burning the candle at both ends, going, have way too much going on, your brain uses more energy than any other part of your body. And so even if you're doing good work and meaningful work, doing too much of anything is going to tire you out. So let's get some rest. It isn't just taking a nap. It might be putting yourself in a different, fun, joyful situation. Do something you really love. No matter how busy you are, call a timeout. Get together with friends who are uplifters. Really do things that you enjoy. And you'll find that you have a lot more energy, and energy equals creativity. Next up, stress. A lot of the things I just talked about can certainly contribute to stress. But remember, stress is at its root coming from fear. Something is making you feel unsafe in your life. So maybe it is pressure to perform at work. Maybe it is, how am I going to pay my bills? Maybe it is, I need a new car, but I don't have time to look for one, and now it just broke down. Or my kid is struggling in school. What do I do? Think about the things in your life that might be causing you stress. And with all of those, You got to think about, how do I confront what I'm really afraid of at the root of this stress? What's the worst that can happen? How do I plan for that worst case scenario so I can feel more assured? What can I do to create safety in my life? Maybe I need people around me to reassure me. Maybe I need to make a list of the facts of the situation so that my brain doesn't have this abstract thought spiral based on things that may not be true. Maybe I need to confront some limiting beliefs, things that I just accepted without questioning them. And how could I now rethink things? Maybe I grew up thinking that it wasn't okay to make a mistake, but now I realize that vulnerability makes you a better leader. So I can confront that fear. Think about all those kinds of things that are that stress response in your life, because again, that stress response is causing a physiological reaction in your body, just the same as if you were facing down some physical threat that you had to fight or run away from. Your body's going through the full stress response for that. It is flooding your system with adrenaline and cortisol. It is sending all the blood flow to your limbs. It is raising your blood pressure, shutting off your immune system, shutting down your digestive system. Except if you're not actually having to physically defend yourself, it's taking away the very resources you need to be creative. So think about what is causing that fear, that root source of stress. Think differently about it, and then get some exercise, because you have to burn off all of that adrenaline and cortisol just as if you were fighting a physical danger. Otherwise, they stay in your system and they prolong all of those different things I talked about that are not only draining your creativity, but are physically and mentally bad for you too. The last thing I'm going to talk about is ritual. Our mind is a tricky thing, and it loves to create shortcuts. And those shortcuts get hardwired as neuron sequences. There's sort of this stimulus response kind of a reaction that goes on. If you train yourself every day that you're going to eat lunch at exactly noon, your body will start to feel hungry right around 11:30 in preparation for that. If you train yourself to go to bed at a certain time, your body will start to feel tired after a while, and you won't have to really consciously put so much effort into it. Well, the same is true with creativity. If you make time to do things that recharge your creativity, and then follow those things up with time set aside to do something creative, your mind will start to just automatically set up to do that. So what are some things you can do to recharge your creativity? You can meditate. Meditation has been proven to reset the nervous system, to help you get into more of a flow state, have a clearer thought pattern and better resonance between your brain waves and your heartbeat, which creates more harmony in the body. It has proven effects to help you perform better intellectually and physically and creatively. If you can't really get into meditation, Jessie, or you find you still need more, movement is really powerful. So you can take a walk, you can do stretches, you can dance, just rock out to your favorite beat. Movement like that works out all the toxins in the body, all those stress chemicals I talked about, but it also puts you in a little bit of a trance-like state when you're doing ritualistic movement like that. That is very similar to meditation. The next thing to do is journaling. whiteboarding, sketching, doodling, anything you can do to brain dump what's in your head out into physical form. Why does this matter? Because the biggest block to the creative process is judgment, is editing. And while we need to be discerning of what we create, first we have to make it. If the judgment is always on, very little output is going to come out. And in fact, the judgment is going to trigger that mini fear response that's going to eventually shut down the creative process. So you need to get your thoughts out. Everything from the significant, like I need to solve this problem about how this floor plan is going to work since we had to shift the building, to I'm really annoyed at my coworker because they didn't do a good job with laying out this room. It doesn't matter how trivial it is. It doesn't matter if it's work related. Maybe you are sketching out ways you want to rearrange the furniture in your living room or why you need a new car. Doesn't matter. What matters is you're getting your thoughts out. You're getting your ideas out. And we're not judging them, we're just putting them out. Getting them out helps us then to look at what we have created and to then pull from it the good stuff. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be out there. Just sometimes these are idea starters too. Give yourself that opportunity. Then set aside time to be creative. And that means no meetings, no errands, no interruptions. And you can start small with just half an hour. But give yourself the gift of that creative time after you've done the meditation and the journaling or the sketching or the yoga, whatever it is that has helped you reset and brain dump. Now give yourself the creative space to think about what to do with it. At first, you may not know what to do. You may be very tempted to check social media, check your email, make a phone call, do something, but resist that because those are distractions. You want to really train your brain that this is do not disturb time, the cave time that you need to generate and be creative, to look at the brain dump, to process the brain dump, to organize thoughts, to think about strategies, to think about concepts and the adjacent possible and how you can make connections to things. And if you do this day after day, and I would challenge you to work up to an hour minimum, your brain is going to start to automatically fall in line with this and expect to be doing this activity at this point. And you're going to find that you actually are more and more inspired the more that you do this. And that not only does the process get easier, which, that feels like, oh yeah, I'll get easier. That's a platitude. But it actually becomes a lot more productive and meaty in terms of what you're generating. And you might be surprised at how quickly you can generate really out of the box thinking just by giving yourself that ritual that puts you in that frame of mind. So to sum up here, in order to jumpstart your creativity, look at where you are leaking energy and find ways to get rest. Look at what you might be afraid of. That's a limiting belief. Dig deep and find the root cause, and then show yourself why those things are not going to happen or how you can be prepared for if they do. And finally, create a ritual that starts with a nervous system re-regulation like meditation or walking or yoga, and moves to a brain dump session where you are journaling or sketching, and finally ends with a blocked out, do not disturb creative time where you can give yourself permission to be generative. Do those things and you will be surprised at how quickly inspiration returns to you and innovative ideas feel like they just easily come to you throughout the day, not just during your creative block. Thank you so much, Jessie, for that amazing question, and definitely share how these techniques are working for you and everyone else as well. If you found this episode helpful, like, rate, and review it wherever you are listening to podcasts. If your podcast platform does not let you leave a review, you can go to the link in the show notes and leave a review on Google Reviews. Just mention the specific episode. Also, tell a friend. Let people know about this resource. Share your own thoughts about the episode by tagging me on Instagram at Architecting Podcast or on LinkedIn. You can go to the Architecting Podcast page or tag me directly on LinkedIn. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what inspires you and what creative rituals you're going to make part of your daily experience of life. Love you so much. Take care. Thanks for listening. If you want even more content, head on over to architectingpodcast.com and subscribe to my newsletter and get some great free downloads while you're there. Be sure to follow me on social media. On Instagram at Architecting Podcast, Facebook and LinkedIn pages are Architecting, and the YouTube channel Architecting Podcast. Stay inspired.